Today I'm going to turn myself into the shadow planet Rahu. Just a quick disclaimer for those of you who are not interested in seeing me reveal a bunch of my skin and dance around like crazy. This is not the video for you. I have reasons why I made these decisions, which I will explain at the end of the video, but long story short, Rahu is the craziest planet of them all, so I just went full Rahu with this, and I'm hoping that those of you who really want the full Rahu experience will appreciate that. So enjoy. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Nicole. I'm an astrologer, card reader, and life coach, and this is my channel dedicated to all of those things, plus spiritual topics in general. If you're interested in booking a reading or a coaching session with me, you may do so at my website, NicoleBrenny.com. And to join me in learning a full course of the Cards of Truth, you may sign up at my website, NicoleBrenny.com, or look for more information in the description box below. So as you already know, I'm finally back. I've been traveling the world, having a very Rahu experience of uncharted territories, uncharted languages, and all of that. And so I am here with all of my Rahu energy to turn myself into the planet Rahu, following the ancient Vedic texts. I've really used Ernst Wilhelm's Graha Sutras to inform me, and that's kind of a compilation of the different ancient texts. And none of this is going to be a creative interpretation. For the most part, it's going to be just from the ancient texts. Of course, there are going to be moments where I'm going to make some creative interpretations, so I will be turning myself into Rahu. Then afterwards, I'll be explaining my decisions, and if you want more information, you can also check out the article. I always post an article, and I will link to that below as well. So without further ado, I'm gonna go turn myself into the planet, shadow planet Rahu. I'll see you guys in a minute. There you guys have it. I have turned myself into Rahu, the shadow planet. This video was crazy. I spilled things, I ruined things, I broke things. I don't even know if the camera actually worked because The balance of the light is weird, so the editing is going to be crazy, but we made it through. Rahu is always a planet where you're making a lot of mistakes and you don't know what you're doing and you shouldn't have any expectations, so I tried not to have any expectations. What do you guys think? Do you like it? Is this your favorite planet so far? I don't know. I think it's okay. I'm finding trash in my hair. I'm pretty happy with it, and I feel very tired and I'm ready to sleep. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some screenshots and explain to you guys why I made the decisions that I made, and this will explain everything from the tattoo to the hair to everything. So there are two quotes that I really used to make this video. The first one is gaping mouth, sword, shield, trident, granting wishes, on a lion, and dark colored is Rahu. The second was smoky, dark bodied, forest dwelling, terrible, of Vata nature, and intelligent is Rahu. And those are basically the two of the quotes that I'm going to be describing, as well as some other things in the following images. Uncharted territories. So Rahu is a graha that takes us into areas that we've never experienced, where we actually don't really have a lot of confidence and where we're going to make a ton of mistakes. So just to kind of explain the whole thing that I was doing with this video, not wearing a lot of clothes, dancing around like a maniac, these are all things that are way outside of my comfort zone. I have performed, I've done things like that, but I definitely don't really show so much of my body. If you've ever followed me on social media, you know that. So this whole video, all the things that I brought into the video, I really tried to push myself as far as I could outside of my comfort zone. There's actually a point where I was gonna wear just literally 2 patches on my boobs and nothing else. Except for like a jacket, and I didn't go that far, but I definitely pushed myself. So I know some people aren't really going to appreciate that aspect of this video, but it really is a part of Rahu. Rahu and Ketu are the army, and Rahu is trying to get new ground and conquer areas that have never been conquered before, whereas Ketu is really just comfortable staying in what's already been conquered, that comfort zone. So I pushed myself, I went kind of crazy, and obviously this video is the result. So dark is really describing the experience that we have with Rahu and whatever Rahu is influencing in our chart. So even me making this makeover video was really dark. Like, I couldn't figure out exactly the way that I wanted to take things. I couldn't choose between different accessories. Even the things that were going on in my life while I was shooting this were really painful and making me face a lot of my worst fears of my entire life. So I really wanted to show dark by just making the palette kind of darker in alignment with the other things. So I chose accessories, necklaces, hair color that were all dark. This one's interesting, gaping mouthed. There's not a lot of information on this, but to me it really describes that mythology of Rahu and Ketu when they were Svarbhanu, and Svarbhanu was trying to drink the nectar of immortality, which is called Amrita. So it's kind of showing that thirst, and Rahu also brings about obsession in whichever area that it's influencing in our birth charts. So I couldn't leave my mouth open for the whole thing, but I just wanted to pull a shot where I am having my mouth hanging open just to kind of show that Rahu is gaping mouthed. Chandala is an interesting word. It means outcast, or it's basically anybody in society that doesn't really benefit society or is against society. So I used that to inform my styling choices, and I kind of went with more of a punk rock goth sort of vibe, because obviously those are different members of our society that are kind of anti-society, and so it just informed my overall aesthetic for Rahu. On a lion. So Rahu actually rides upon a dark lion. I couldn't find a dark lion patch, but I did find a lion patch. This just describes a little bit more about Rahu's personality, that Rahu is quite lazy and puts a lazy influence in our chart in whatever it does influence, but then when Rahu strikes, it strikes ferociously and in a very unexpected way. Cruel. So Rahu is cruel, just like the other cruel planets. Basically, it's going to kind of refrain from giving you the benefits from that planet and kind of just give you all the nasty stuff so that you can grow like a really cruel kind of parent in a way. So I just showed that by having these pointy kind of claw things coming out of my hand, and I of course did some cruel looking poses to add that in. Wearing a choker probably helped a little bit with that as well. Speaking of the choker, there's something called Rahu SANIVAT, and Rahu SANIVAT is basically that Rahu is like Saturn. So since Saturn is a constricting influence, I felt that it was very appropriate to use a choker on Rahu that brings in the subculture stuff, that brings in the cruel element, but also brings in the Rahu SANIVAT, that Rahu is like Saturn. Rahu is meant to be conspicuous, really standing out in the crowd. So I just kind of put some bright colors on the vest that I made for Rahu. I also did a lot of bright colors on the eyeshadow look, and I did some color correcting as well. So that was just because of the fact that even though Rahu would wear conspicuous makeup, Rahu would mostly wear makeup to kind of patch things. And I'll talk a little bit more about patches later, but I wanted to address this in that Rahu would mostly wear conspicuous, really bright colored makeup and or use makeup to patch things. Is also the planet of illusions, and so for this, many astrologers have related Rahu to the appearance of rainbows, and this is another reason why I chose a rainbow palette for the eye look. Patches. Rahu is related to patches, and I already kind of mentioned that I used the color correction to show the patches in the makeup, but I also created and sewed on my own patches and bought some patches to put on the vest. And I did those patches for very specific reasons. So with the lion, I chose that because Rahu's mount is the lion. I chose the monarch butterfly because Rahu is the shadow planet of illusion and manipulation. And there is something called monarch programming, which is like a huge conspiracy theory related to some really intense manipulation that is done to individuals. You can read more about that online. And then I chose a seashell and a pearl because in Western mythology, or Western astrology, Rahu and Ketu are known as the north and south nodes of the moon. So I wanted to bring in some moon symbolism just to represent that a little bit more. And then, as you're going to see later, Rahu is a serpent planet, or the head of the serpent, so I'll talk about that next, and that is why I chose to make some serpent patches for this vest. Rahu is the head of the serpent. So Rahu and Ketu, as I mentioned before, were Svarbhanu, and Svarbhanu is trying to drink the nectar of immortality called Amrita and was sliced in half. And Rahu became the head of the serpent. Ketu is the tail of the serpent. And there is so much interesting stuff related to that. I know I talked a little bit about that on the Leo King's channel before. And I just wanted to bring in that serpent energy. So I made a lot of choices related to serpents, including a makeup bag that had snakes on it. I hand drew some serpent patches for my vest that I made for Rahu. I used a peel-off mask to represent the shedding of a snake's skin. And I even chose a shirt that reminded me of how like the serpents have scales. So it's kind of like a scaly shirt. And I actually put snake print on my lips. So I did quite a lot to show that serpentine energy of Rahu. Speaking of serpents, especially poisonous serpents, Rahu is related to poison, so I showed that by using cobra snakes in the patches, but I also drew a poison symbol on a bottle of kombucha and drank that throughout the making of this video. Also, Prashant Trivedi aligns Rahu with vinegar as well, so it's interesting that kombucha is kind of like a vinegary tasting drink. And that's just a little bit of an aside. But Rahu related to poisons means that Rahu's kind of going to give you a poison in order to heal you, in order to push you, in order to get you to evolve. So a lot of what Rahu brings is kind of dangerous in a way, but it's actually there to help you heal and help you to evolve. Rahu is smoky, so again, that's just relating to the influence that Rahu can bring to the areas of our chart where it is. And I just showed this by smoking a fake cigarette. And I also used a smoky eye with the eyeshadow look. The Caesar, Rahu is a Caesar. It's not a real planet, it's a graha, so it's something that seizes, and I just showed that with a little detail of using a claw clip in my hair for most of the video. Rahu is meant to be a terrible planet, so I wanted to show this simply. I just kind of did some nasty sort of poses, so I apologize to anyone, but I had to show that Rahu is kind of terrible. Rahu is a planet of transformation, so when I actually went from the clips where I'm not wearing a wig to the clip where I turn into Rahu, I used a little bit of an effect to show that transformative process. If you study the cards of truth, you know that Rahu is related to the number 8, which is also kind of a symbol of reincarnation or infinity. So I used the number 8 as a symbol, or the infinity symbol, as my tattoo. And it was also representing kind of the fact that Rahu and Ketu are so closely related to reincarnation, and they show this process in which we can take so that we can kind of get out of that process of rebirth and step into liberation or moksha. Rahu rules over and creates skin afflictions, especially when there is an influence of Mars. You can have something like a tattoo, which is a kind of skin affliction. I actually have that in my birth chart, even though I don't have tattoos, but I chose tattoos for that reason as well. And interestingly enough, the vest that I made had little pointy spikes in it from the gems that I put on the vest, and that made my whole back kind of break out a little bit. So I kept a photo of that, and I'm posting it here so that you can see it, and it was also a part of the video. If a person would like to propitiate or honor Rahu, they could do so by using beautiful metalwork. I couldn't find any like artistic piece of metalwork, but I really chose my accessories based around metallic colors, including silver. So the shirt is silver, my nails are silver, the things I have on, including my rings, are silver, the choker is silver, all of that. I just chose silver in order to propitiate Rahu. Rahu and Ketu are basically points where the ecliptic of the sun meets the ecliptic of the moon, and I wanted to show those two orbits intersecting, so I did so with the earrings that I'm wearing for half of the makeover video. Rahu has an obscuring influence. I kind of mentioned this before, but really Rahu can hide things and make things really unclear, so I showed that a lot with having my hair over my face or my hand over my face. This is the final image of Rahu downward facing, and when Rahu is downward facing, Rahu is becoming sleepy and fixating on her fantasies, making them turn into fears which could hold her back, delay her, or keep her from achieving her greatest dreams. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. It is an honor to be able to make these videos for you and to spend time with you. I make these for you. So if you like this video, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't. I'm going to do some amazing fun things that I like to do on my channel, so I hope that you will join me to do all those things. I can get to know you, you can get to know me, and we're going to have a good time. So I will see you in the next video, and have a wonderful day. Bye!
He's a cutie with a big booty. He's a cutie with a big booty. He's a cutie with a